and I'm gonna start soon. All right, I am. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me okay? You can just type in yes. Um, all right, let's see. We have 1 minute. I got more questions. So I'm gonna have to cover that questions again later on towards the end of the class. And so save those questions. I'm gonna have you retype them again. Okay. So let me see. Good morning, everybody. How this is so awesome because we've only been here for 2 weeks, and we now have almost 600 members in the group, which is awesome. Because when I first started this, I thought we were gonna have maybe 50 people uh, following, but now we have almost 600 people, which is really cool. So for all of you who are new, who are tuning in for the first time, welcome to the live session. I really love it when people tune in because it really, this is my favorite thing when I'm doing things live and people can ask me and I'm doing demonstrations live. I know you can watch the recording, which is great, but just like a rock and roll band, they like performing live. I kind of like the same thing too. So for those of you, if you haven't done it yet, and those who are you are tuned in, please don't forget to share. Click the share button on the screen above, so we can so you can so people, your friends and family can watch this feed on your wall, and hopefully we can attract more people to join our group. Okay, the more flower photos on Facebook, the better. So we get you know not a lot of like negative news these days. I hope you're all staying safe. I think we're doing well because the curve is really flattening, but don't forget that I think it's still very important for us to do social distancing. And I know some states are starting to open, which is great, but we still have to be very careful. And for those of you who have friends and family who are in the front lines, who are first responders, and please thank them for me. And if not for them, we won't be able to do this. Like, if not for them, I probably won't be able to to be doing this lessons with you guys. So they're keeping us all safe. Um, on Instagram, if you haven't, this is like I'm gonna do all my plugs right off of the beginning. That way we get it out of the way. But on Instagram, please follow me on the Christian Del Rosario. That's my handle, the Christian Del Rosario. The word "the" in front of my name. So just in case you haven't been following me there. Ideally, this lesson should be watched. The ideal setup for you is to watch it on a computer, on your desktop, or a laptop, and then have the phone with you. It's better to watch it on a big screen, and then you have the phone with you where you're gonna follow along with exercises. So that's the ideal setup for all of you. So if you're watching the recording here and that's not your setup and you can do it, pause, click the pause button, and go to your computer, open up the feed, and then get your phone and download the files. Okay. Um, so again, shout out to everybody calling in. I've already seen it on the feed. We have people calling in from Belgium, Philippines, Romania, and the East Coast. So I'm so glad that you're all here. I made it. I made the broadcast really early here in LA. It's 7 a.m. just so I can accommodate the folks, our friends from Europe. It's late in the afternoon there. Um, my objective for this class, so we're doing advanced editing. My objective for this class is for all of you to walk away with a more enhanced knowledge of editing. Last week when we discussed the basic editing and I gave you the 10 secrets, these are just like the really, I picked the steps and the secrets so to get you started. But really, as many of you already probably discovered as you were like taking pictures every day and editing every day, there's actually more you can do. There are more like functions there, there are more sliders to play with, and which is really great because it really will help you enhance the photos even more. And I can tell that some of you already started doing it, which is great. But today I'm going to show you my exact process. I think it's important that you see how I do it exactly, because you can see how these other advanced sliders behave and how it affects and enhances the photographs. Okay, so that's my objective for today. Um, I just also want to say that since we did this broadcast last week, I'm just so amazed of how much engagement there has been. I every morning I wake up and I open my Facebook and it's just filled with colors, beautiful flowers and from everybody, and just like really following all the secrets and all the steps that I gave, and it just feels so good to see that, because prior to that I opened my Facebook, I see a lot of like negative news. um, and I know some of you have given me the same feedback, but the feeling is just so good, that in this time of crisis, something really good comes out. And I used to walk my dogs every morning, and I would take photos of flowers or whatever interests me, and people would see me sometimes like, I'm down on the ground on my knees taking pictures, and I think they probably think I'm crazy. Now there's like a bunch of you doing it all over the world, which is really cool. Also, I don't know if you've noticed yet. I think you have, but really, if you really look close, a lot of you said, "Well, there's no spring flowers where I am right now because it's not spring here." But really, if you look closer, you will find something. It's amazing how when you're more intentional about looking for things and looking for things that you want, um, um, you will find something. It's amazing. Now, even with me, I've been doing this for many weeks now, and I thought I photographed everything, but then the more I look, the more the more I see like different kinds of flowers. Oh my God, I've never seen this before, And then walked by it. I walked hundreds of times. Um, so like I think one of you guys, I think it was Marlon, who said, when you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at also change. And it's so true, because it only proves that that if you have a good perspective in life, and if you are looking for good, you will actually find it, especially during these times. So I just wanted to say that, because uh, it really makes me feel good that whatever that this thing that I'm doing, this thing that I'm investing time on, is really having a positive effect on all of you guys' lives, and for me that's very important. It makes me really happy, and I know it makes a lot of you happy as well. All right, so um, also on the photos, I know I try to. It's getting harder and harder for me to give feedback, because there's now so many photos on our Alexa's talking. I don't know why. But so I just want to let you know that I look at every photo, and I try to give feedback to as many people as I could. But if I don't give any feedback, don't worry. If I hit like, that means I looked at it. But I do my best to give feedback to everybody, and I just want you to know that I appreciate everything. And also, don't forget to not just post the photos that you've been taking. Don't just share it with the group. Share it also with your friends who are not part of the group. Post it on your Facebook wall, post it on Instagram, or just send it over email, or print it and send it by snail mail to somebody you love, because I think it's very important. This is the whole point of this, is to fill to fill the world with colors, and make people feel really good. All right. Also, it's really cool when I see somebody post on our group page and they have questions, and sometimes I'm not able to answer it right away. I love it when other members are able to help them. So other members will actually step in and help out and give the answer. So that is really great. A lot of you have also asked where we store, like on our Facebook group. I just want to let you know that all of the lessons, all of the videos, and all of the challenges, because I throw out challenges for everybody in between lessons. All those are stored under the announcement section on Facebook. So if you go to our Facebook group, And if you look at the announcement section, whether on desktop or on the phone, you will see on the announcements, if you just scroll down, all the lessons will be there. Lesson number one is there. This lesson number two will be there, and all the challenges in between would also be there under announcements. Okay, so I think it's important that you know that, so when people ask, you can also assist them on it. Um, because we're broadcasting this really early in LA, it's unfortunately in conflict with our friends from the empowered living group. I think Paul and Roddy, they're doing their broadcast right now at the moment. But if you're here, listening, on our broadcast, and you're missing theirs, they rebroadcast their show this morning tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Pacific time. So just so you know, just a reminder for all of you who wanted to watch their rerun. Um, I have a plan for next week. The lesson for next week will be, I'm gonna change it up a little bit. It's gonna be something really fun, something that we will do live, and then once we're done here, you can actually do it at home. And I'm gonna have everybody post the results. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what it is yet, but it really is fun, and it's going to tap more into the power of your iPhone camera. I did this before when I was learning photography, and the problem is once you do it once, you might get addicted to it, and you just keep on doing it. But I'm gonna tell you what that is yet. But I just want to give you a little teaser for next week. So it's gonna be something really fun and a very active uh, lesson. All right. So the slideshow that I was showing earlier before this, I'm going to make that available for everybody for download on Dropbox. So you can have it on your computer, on your phone, or you can share it on your Facebook Live. But these are the slideshows of all the spring flowers that I've collected throughout since March. So, because a few people have asked me about it, so I'm gonna make that available for all of you. I'm almost done here, and then we're gonna get started. Um, One last thing is that a few people have asked me to they ask me why I do this thing for free, why I don't charge any money for this. It's because I don't want to. It's because for me this is a gift to all of you. I believe that the more we share knowledge, the better. There's the more learning we share, the better we become as well. So and but however, some says, well, maybe you should do something so we can pass it on. So I've been thinking about it, and I think I have a solution for it, and I think it's a good solution. As you all know, I love animals. I love dogs, and um, yesterday was my boxer's birthday. He's in doggy heaven now, but we got Rocco. His name is Rocco, and I'm actually gonna show you guys his photo here. So let me see. It's right. So this is Rocco, and he's a boxer. I rescued him from the boxer rescue in Los Angeles, and it's a rescue group that's very close to my heart. I shared a wonderful 11 years with Rocco, and he's the best boxer that has ever graced that rescue, I think. But if you are ever so inclined, and you really wanted to help, and you wanted to pass this on, and you have something to spare, and this is by no means a requirement. It's all voluntary. If you really want to help, I would love for you to give a donation to the Boxer Rescue in Los Angeles. This is me and Rocco. Um, and I have provided a link on the description of this live feed. There's a direct link there for to make a donation to the Boxer Rescue in Los Angeles. The folks there, they do such a great job. What they do is just all over Southern California, they rescue all the boxers, and they make sure that they don't get put down or put to sleep. So at any given point, there's at least maybe 100 dogs there that and they look for homes for them, and those who are sick, they really take care of them. And so that's where I got Rocco. So if you want to help out, there's no minimum. You can give $1 or you can give 1,000. It's up to you. But if you ever feel like you want to help out, you can make a donation under my name in memory of my dog Rocco, because it was his birthday yesterday. So that's him. And this is our first. This picture right here is actually our first picture together. That's on the day that I rescued him from that rescue group. So I miss him a lot. So all right, so I'm gonna go back here, and so again, if you make a donation, put it, under. There's a note. There's a part there we can write a message. You can put for Christian Del Rosario in honor of Rocco, something like that. But again, it's not a requirement, only if you can. Um, I'm going to go back here. All right, so let's get started. Based on the photos that you guys have been posting on Facebook, there are three things that I think I really need to give you feedback on. Okay, um, a lot of the images really can get um, uh, can get more improvement in focusing, yeah, in focusing the subject. Remember, as good as editing is on the phone, if you don't start with a really good image from the offset, then no matter how good you are in editing, your image won't be like as impactful. So it's important to get it sharp. Okay. Later on, I'm going to do a quick demo on my technique on how I make these flowers look really sharp. And I know some of you have already gotten to do it, but really, and I also always show it during the challenges. The key is to get, to have the camera like real close to the subject first, and then slowly pull it away, and let the camera and let the computer of your phone start doing its job. And then before you know it, you see the image really in focus and sharp, and then you hit the shutter button and click. Okay, so that's one thing, the sharpness. Second is the angles. So for the next photos that you will post, I really want you to play on and experiment on different angles. Okay, most of the pictures that I've seen are taken from the top, which is great because I do that all the time as well. But then it's also nice to show, like really, like, go around the flower, show the back side of the flower, get the camera down like really low on the ground, like even so it's looking up on the flower, something like that. So that's my next just that's my next general challenge for all of you, is to play around with different angles, like what I said last week. Give the viewer an angle that normally they will not see. um, Most people just walk by and look at a flower from the top, and that's what everybody sees. It's great, it's beautiful. But you give them something that like, oh my God, I've never noticed that back side of that flower. It's beautiful. That's my challenge for you. Just play around with angles. And some of you have done it, and I've seen it, and it's amazing. But I just want you to continue doing it for me. The third one is the use of the vignette. Remember, secret number 10 is the use of the vignette. The using of the vignette can be very tricky. If it's used correctly, it can have a really good impact on your photo. The idea of the vignette is to direct the eyes of your viewer to a certain part of the photo that you really want them to look into. If it's overdone, if you give it too much vignette, then you can see like, oh, the sides are really dark, and it kind of defeats the purpose. The idea of using the vignette is to use it without the viewer noticing that you're actually using it. You know, unless they know this technique, they won't even know that you darken the sides of the photo. But if you do it too much, then it becomes too obvious. So that's my third feedback and final feedback for the current photos that I've been seeing. Just be careful with the use of the vignette. Okay, don't overdo it. Do it. There's a sweet spot in using it. So again, the first one is the focus. Practice on focus. give us different angles, challenge yourself, give your viewer a different angle of your subject, of the flower, and then be careful with the use of the vignette. Okay, so before we move on again, I just want to review from the last very quickly. I just want to review the ten secrets that I gave you. Okay, first one is it's best to shoot in the shade or early in the morning or late in the afternoon. You know, direct sunlight is not usually good. I mean, you still can get, but it's very tricky. So all of the flowers that I post here, 99.9% of them were taken early in the morning, not in the sun, usually in the shade, and early or late in the afternoon. A second secret is turn on the HDR, the smart HDR mode on your phone. If you don't have an iPhone, find the equivalent version. Or sometimes it just says HDR. That's very important. Second, if you have, on the phone, turn on the live mode on the phone. So this way you can actually capture different frames, and I've shown you how to do that. The other secret is to use, if you have, if your phone has like two or at least two cameras, two or three cameras, we use the telephoto camera, which is the 2x. Okay, if you don't have it, sometimes your phone has like a digital 2x. You can rotate it. Just find a way how to do that. But if you have at least two, very often, 99% of the time when I take photos, I use the 2x camera. Um, Next secret is, if you notice, most of the flowers I take, we get real close to the subject. We show the viewer details of the subject or details of the flower that normally they will not see. Okay, everyone sees the whole flower, the whole thing. One of the secrets is to zoom in, get real close, focus on one petal of the flower, or that fly or that bee sitting on that flower, and you create magic. Um, Next, apply, big secret here. Apply auto adjust. On the editing panel, just hit auto adjust and then play with the slider. Play with the slider, and see what happens. And then when you see something that you like, you stop. That's one of the biggest secret here. And next secret is cropping. The art of cropping. A lot of you are already getting the hang of this. It's one of the biggest secret in many of my photos. Many photos I take were taken wide, and I just crop in. I recompose the second time around. You compose your photos twice. First, when you take the photo. Second is when you crop. I call this creative cropping. I rotate. I turn to the left. I turn to the right. You will see my process later. But when cropping is done right, it creates magic as well. And then the warm slider. The warm slider. If you slide it to the right, it gives you a cooler version of the photo, which is like this. See this light here up behind me? That's a cooler version of a light. That's what a cool light is. This one right here is a warm light because it gives you more like of a warm orange tone to the photo. Okay, and then tint. Tint is kind of like warmth, but it gives it a little different. To the left, it slide it to the left. It gives more a green tint to it, and slide to the right. It gives it more of a magenta tint to it. I use this a lot because it really punches the existing native color of the photo. Okay, and like with everything else, you play around with it until you see something that you like. And the last secret, which I already talked about, is the vignette. And I also gave out a bonus secret, which is share it with the world. So what's you know what's good would the photos be if you don't share it with the world? So which you have been doing, which is great. Okay, so now let's get into the advanced editing. Okay, you're like, oh wow, the editing he taught us, that's not even advanced yet. See, if you thought that the 10 secrets, the basic editings I taught you last week was cool, this is even cooler. Okay, write this down. Okay, so take notes, write this down. There are 3 secrets to advanced editing on your phone. or just editing in general, editing photos in general. Are you all ready? Secret number one. Secret number one is practice. All right, practice. Secret number one. Secret number two, practice. All right, and secret number three is practice. So those are the three secrets of learning advanced editing. Practice, practice, and practice. Did I say how important practice is? If I haven't said it, yes, it's very important. Practice, practice, practice. Okay. In advanced editing, we will go outside of all the basic sliders that I showed you earlier. We have brilliance, we have brightness, we have exposure, we have what else do we have? We have sharpness, and all those other sliders. Okay, and what I want to do here is, I really thought about this. Okay, how am I going to approach it? Should I teach all of you each of the slider? But then I'm like, sometimes it's too much. So what I'm gonna do here is, I think the best way to learn this process, and this is how I kind of learn it, is to I would like you to follow along. The more you watch my process, the more you will learn about how each slider behaves. If you watch it, your brain actually will adjust, and that your brain will make the connection. When he does this, this is what happens to the photo. That's why it's even better if you're actually engaged with me. That's why I wanted you to download the files in advance. So we're going to be working on the same image. Okay, so I have prepared 25 photos for all of you. I posted these flower photos, I think, over the weekend when I was walking my dogs, and then so there's 25 of them, and we're gonna use this exact same images, so you'll know, because they're actually probably my favorite ones. The last ones are always my favorite ones, but so I thought maybe I should show them my process, because I've gotten a lot of good comments on these ones too. All right, here we go. Let me change my screen here. The first three images that we will do, I'm gonna take it really slow so you can all follow along with me. The first one will be like really slow. Second one will be slow. The third one will be slow, and then I'll go faster and faster because we have 25. We're gonna try to finish the 25, but if we can't, it's fine. You can go ahead and continue to practice it. Okay. All right. So right now, what I would like you to do is get your phones ready. For those of you who downloaded the images, make sure that you know how to access them. I'm gonna change my screen here, and I will pull out the first image that we will be working on. It'll be the first one right here. Okay. Okay. So if you can all pull this image on your phone, I will give you some time to do that while I drink my coffee. Get it ready. Again, ideally, you're watching this broadcast on a computer, on your desktop or a laptop, and then you have your phone with you with the file so you can follow along. And again, even if you don't have an iPhone, you can use other phones as well, and just look for the equivalent. Most of them have the equivalent functions. Okay, so this is the starting image, and what I'm gonna put on the screen is the finished edited image. Okay, and it should be right here. A second. I think it's this one. All right. Okay, my phone is somehow. I'm gonna disconnect my phone here because the orientation is. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna give it some time. Okay, I'm having some technical difficulties here. Let me see. There it is. Okay, here we go. So what you're looking at the screen at the moment, um, the left is the left is the final photo that we're going to recreate, and as you can see, the one on the right is my phone. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly how we came to this finished product. Okay, this is one of those photos where I decided, normally we get really close to the photo, so even though I say that, there are times I make exceptions, because I was like, oh, I really like the composition of this. I like the cactus there, and then the red flower. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna click edit. So let's go to the editing panel of the photo. I'm gonna take this real slow. Okay, first thing we're gonna do for all of this, we'll practice on the crop. Okay, we're going to try to imitate this crop. So we're gonna make it the same way, the same orientation of this image on the left. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit my crop button here. And then for this one, what I did is I actually clicked the rotate button, which is on the upper left-hand corner of my phone. I'm gonna click that, so it will rotate it clockwise, 90 degrees clockwise, which is that way. So there you go. We're pretty close, right? So that's how I did it. And now I'm just going to make a just tiny itty bitty adjustment. For this one, I thought there was like too much space at the top, so I just basically pulled it back down just a tad, just like this. Because I think it's too much space up there. I mean, it really depends on your taste, but for me, it's a little too much. So I'm gonna pull it back, scale it back a little bit, and move the image this way. And I think I rotated it just a tad as well. There you go. So that's I think this is the final crop. I actually did, I think at the bottom here as well. I made a little bit, made it just like that. Okay, so that's our final crop. Hope you're all following along. Okay, I'll give you a few more seconds to make sure that you got that exact crop. And if you don't get it exactly, it's fine as long as it looks similar. And then you can revisit the broadcast later if you want to like really fine tune it. Second thing, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna I'm gonna go to the adjustment panel here, and I will hit sorry, auto function. Okay, so I'm gonna click that and see what happens. So it made a little bit of adjustments there. For this particular one, I thought that this image that we have right now is a little too bright, too washed out, and too overexposed. So I think I'm gonna pull the slider a little bit more to the left. And as you can see, as I do that, it's getting darker and darker, just like that. And I'm gonna stop right there, kind of like halfway between the very left and where we were, right? So I'll give you a few seconds to make the adjustments as well. Really pay attention to how the image changes as we move the sliders, as we make adjustments. This is how your brain learns, and this is how your brain makes this correlations in the relationship between the slider and how it behaves. Okay, next. Um, I'm gonna go to the next one, which is which is exposure, right? We never played with exposure button before, but I'm gonna do that. So for this one, I'm gonna slide to the left, make it a little bit darker, or slide to the right. That's way too overexposed. For this one, we're gonna put it at, this is just kind of, we're gonna put it right here at negative 27. All right, so we're at negative 27 on exposure. And again, watch how the image changes as you make this slider changes, okay? All right, so ready to move to the next one? The next one next to it is brilliance. It's really hard to explain what brilliance does to the image. You'll just have to play around with it and stop when you see something you like, okay? And that's exactly what we're gonna do. For this particular image, actually, I'm just gonna change my glasses here because I can see with, this is my editing glasses, I can see better. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna play with the brilliance here. I'm pulling it all the way to the left, I'm pulling all the way to the right, okay? So for this ones, I noticed that if I pull it all the way to the right, what it does is actually brings a lot more of the detail of the image. So I think I decided I'm gonna put this at 90. So pull the slider all the way to the right, and let's set it at 90. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Highlights. Same thing. So highlights, what it does is when you make adjustments of the highlights, it will, your phone will identify all the really bright spots of your image and will only make adjustments to those, only the highlight, So let's see what happens if we pull it all the way to the left. See, if we put it all the way to the left, it gives like this very unnatural yellow color. And if we put it all the way to the right, it washes it out. It just kind of washed out. So I think the ideal place for this one, for highlights, would be, in my opinion, would be, let's see, just to the left of the middle. We're going to put it at, I think, negative 28. No, sorry, negative 26. Huh? We'll put it at negative 26. Negative 26. All right. You all following along, hopefully. All right. Negative 26. Next, shadows. We've covered shadows before. So what we're going to do here, to separate, to give a little bit more of contrast between the dark side, the dark spots of your image and the bright spot, to give it a little bit more contrast, we'll give it a little bit more shadow. So this is what gives it more of like the 3D look. Sometimes you look at the photos, God, it's so clear and so contrasted, it looks 3D. This is the secret here. So I'm gonna pull the shadows to the left a little bit. As you can see, if I pull it all the way to the left, it gives it's too much, I think. So I'm gonna pull that back a little bit until I think I will settle at minus 43. Yeah, I think minus 43 would be a good spot for it. All right, you all following along? Awesome. Next, contrast. So, with contrast, let's just play around a little bit and then we'll see what happens. All the way to the left. Ooh, look, that's ugly. So basically, if you put it all the way to the left, it removes all of the contrast. You put it all the way to the right, it just kind of makes it too contrasty, too dark, I think. Okay, so I think a good sweet spot for contrast would be, so this is right where we were, the middle. Just gonna give it just a little bit more contrast here. So we're gonna settle at 26. Remember that editing is very subjective. Um, if you ask me to edit the same photo 2 different times, I'll probably give you like two different. I will result into like two, not completely different photo, but slightly different. But sometimes it could be completely different. It depends on my mood. So again, editing is very subjective. It depends on the artist's eye. So there really is no wrong or right answer to it. It's just like it has to make you feel good. When you're editing something and you're looking at things, it has to make you feel good. All right. So next, brightness. So let's see what happens with brightness if I pull it all the way to the left. Ooh, not good either. It's just too fake. All the way to the right, it's too washed out. So here's what I think where brightness would be good. I think it will be just a tad. I believe it's at plus 10 or 11. We'll put it at plus 10, right? So plus 10 would be a good spot for it. All right. So that's brightness plus 10. Moving on to the next function, black point. Okay. Honestly, black point, I don't use it as I don't. I would say 99% of the time I don't use it. So for this purpose, we're not even gonna touch. Even for advanced editing, we're not even gonna touch black point. There's very few instances where I use this. So we're gonna skip that. Skip black point. Saturation. Okay. So here, like what I said before, saturation is very tricky. You have to be very careful. Um, if you push that saturation too much, it can look really fake. Okay, so it has to be done right. Let's play along. Okay, so if you put saturation all the way to the left, it becomes black and white, right? Like just flat black and white. If we pull it all the way to the right, then this is when it gives you like this very unnatural looking photo, which is I don't like at all. So for me, I think so. I'm gonna pull it right in the middle. So for me, the saturation, I'm just gonna bump it up just a little bit. I think plus 10 would also be a good spot for it. Yeah, plus 10. All right, next. We'll play with vibrance. So again, this is just another thing, just like brilliance, it's really hard to explain what vibrance does to your image. Depends on the color, depends on the blend, you know. So we'll just the best for me, the best approach is to just go ahead and play around with the slider until and then you stop when you see something that's more pleasing to your eyes. Okay, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. I'm gonna pull it all the way to the left. Pull it all the way to the right. That's too much. So I think for this one, vibrance, we'll put it at, see, too much. We'll put vibrance as minus 15. I think minus 15 is good, right? All right, minus 15. Next, we'll move to warmth. We've done this before. So for this one, I think I gave it a little bit more of a warmth color to it, a little bit more orange. So pull it. So I gave it a 12, I believe. Okay. Or 10. So plus 10, right? And then we go to tint. I gave it a little bit more of a magenta color here, I think. Yep. That's exactly what I did. So um, for tint, I gave it I think 35 or 36. So 34, 35, 36 is fine. Okay? Tint. All right, moving along, everybody. Um, so I just saw it real quick. Dorothy is asking, what does black point do? So black point, just like highlights, what it does is it will isolate all of the dark, all the color, black color information in your phone, and you can make the blacks real black, like even blacker, like really dark, or you can make it a little bit more a lighter black. So, basically what it does, it will look at all the black points in your photo, and then either you can make it even more black or less black. But for me, contrast actually does a better job in making those adjustments in shadows. So that's why I rarely use it. Um, so that's what it's for. Okay, I hope that helps. All right, so we're moving on to the next one, sharpness. Okay, so this is another one that I rarely use because I think the phone does a pretty good job in already giving you a very sharp image if you shoot it right. So I don't even touch sharpness at all. In fact, what I've noticed before is that when I've used sharpness, it really degrades and really deteriorates the color. I mean, the quality of the photo. If you zoom in, it really kind of deteriorates it. So we're not even going to touch sharpness. Leave sharpness where it is, okay? Definition is also kind of like definition gives it a little bit more of a again also a 3D kind of like 3D feel. Um, to all the small details of your phone. So when do I use it? Maybe 25% of the time I use it. 75% I don't even touch it. But for this purpose, let's go ahead and so right now, see the autofocus already gave the definition all the way to the left. So right now we're all the way to the left. Let's see what happens if we push it all the way to the right. You can really hardly tell what happens to it because it makes changes on like the really, really small, the edges of your image. So I'm just gonna put it back where we were, which is all the way to the left. So I rarely use that as well. Okay, noise reduction. I also rarely use this. One of the very few times I will use this is when I'm editing a portrait. If you want to give the skin a little bit more of a softness, more blur, get rid of the wrinkles a little bit. It just kind of does an okay job. It's not the best, but it's probably one of those times that I use this. Otherwise, I really don't use it either. And then, of course, we're going to go back, which is our last step here, the vignette. We're going to give this a little bit of vignette. Okay, I'm going to show you here when vignette is not used properly. Okay, when it's not used properly is when it's overdone. If you push it all the way to the right, okay, if you push it all the way to the right, you can see here, you can see the edges are really dark. The four corners are very dark. You can really tell, oh, vignetting has been applied to this to this image. Okay, the sweet spot. On the other hand, if you put all the way to the left, you will see that the four corners are washed out, right? So the sweet spot, I'm going to put it right in the center here where we were. For me, the sweet spot is I'm going to put it all the way, kind of not all the way, but just kind of slide it to the right a little bit and give it just, I think I'm going to stop right there, okay? Which is at 44, okay? 44. Okay, so we've done all of, we've looked at all the sliders, all the functions, all the editing functions that we have, and this is right now is our finished photo, right? Now, is it the finished photo? One of the very last steps that I do when I make the adjustments is once I look at the finished photo, I just look at the overall feel of it. And like right now, I'm looking at it, like it looks okay. It looks okay, but I think I don't know if you noticed here. Look at our previous photo, the ones I edited before. There's more. You can see more detail on the wood chips right here on this spot where my cursor is. I'm hoping you can see my cursor. I hope you can. And then here's a little bit more bright, right? It's more overexposed and you see less detail. So when I looked at it, it's like, oh, maybe I should give this a little bit. I'll make this darker and give it a little bit more detail. And this is when I continue to just kind of play around with all the sliders. But because I've been doing this a long time, I kind of know which slider to use and which not to use. But for you, you might be playing with others. For me, I think this will be under sorry, either brightness or exposure. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. Okay, I'm gonna go back to bright. I'm gonna try with the brightness first. I'm gonna go back to brightness, and I'm gonna make it a little bit. I'm gonna do a little bit more. Just so it's a little bit closer now. So there you go. Okay, I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna put it back, and then I'm gonna check on the exposure. Okay, let's see what exposure does. Oh, not that one. Yeah, I think exposure, right? Right there, exposure. Okay, and then I'm gonna maybe play around with brilliance. Yeah, so there you go. So again, with exposure, I made a readjustment to minus 42. I made a readjustment to minus 42, and then on brilliance, I made an adjustment and put it back to 59. Okay, to 59. And then also I'm looking at it, it's a little, now that I look at it, it's a little oversaturated for me. So I'm going to go back to saturation, and I'm gonna reduce the saturation a little bit more. I think I'm gonna put it right there. Maybe I'm gonna put it back to zero. Okay, back to zero. So I'm pretty happy with this. So even though there's a slight difference from the previous one, it's pretty close. So like what I said earlier, editing is very subjective. Um, Usually, if I edit the same photo in different times, I'm able to come up with something similar, but not exactly the same. It all depends on my mood that day. Depends on sometimes my emotion that day. But this is our finished photo for the first image. Okay, hopefully you're all able to follow along. And then I'm going to go ahead and click done here to save. Oop, I'm going to click done to save the photo. And then we're going to move along to the second photo here, okay? All right, so I'm going to pull out the second photo. Let me make on my computer here, turn that off. Okay, and then I'm going to So everybody, please go to your phone and pull the second photo that we have, our exercise file. It should be in sequence. So I go from the first one, second one, third one. Okay. We're gonna go a little bit more, not still. We're gonna go. The first one I took it really slow. This one we're gonna do. We're gonna be a little faster, but we're gonna pretty much do the same steps. You will notice that when I edit photos, I just like because I've been doing it for a long time, I'm quite fast. But when you're doing it, take your time, okay? Really, really pay attention to the behavior of the sliders and how it changes the look of your photo, right? It's very important because your brain, like what I said earlier, I'm gonna say this again. The more you do this, the more you watch, and your brain will make the connection, and it will learn. Um, One day you'll be like editing something, you want to change a certain look of a photo, right away your brain will tell you, Christian, you know, that's actually the brilliance, or that's actually the exposure adjustment that you need to do. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few more seconds to pull this photo, and then now I'm going to turn on the final photo, which is that. Okay, this one's a little bit dramatic. This is where I really applied. I did a lot of cropping. The first photo, we didn't do a lot of cropping, but this one, I did. Okay, so this is our final photo that we're going to recreate. Okay, again, I'm gonna give you a few more seconds to pull that. All right, so we're gonna click edit. And again, just a reminder, if you have any questions, please write them down. Towards the end of this broadcast, I will have a Q&A sections where you can ask me questions, and then I will do a demo or just answer it right away. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here. I'm gonna click the edit button there, and then like what we did on the first image, we'll start with a crop, okay? Because that's where we see the real dramatic change here. So we'll start with a crop. I'm gonna hit the crop button right there. For this one, the technique is when you really want to get close to your subject and you really want to crop the hell out of this image, you just pinch and zoom, So I'm assuming you all know how to pinch. Actually, not zoom. Yeah, pinch and zoom. So using your two fingers, my thumb and my index finger here, I'm just gonna pinch on the screen and then zoom it just like that. Yeah. And then I'm gonna move it, make sure that this right here, see this like the center, that little yellow spot of the flower. I wanna make sure that it's really, like dead center. I'm gonna just pull it all the way to the center. When you touch the screen on the phone, you will actually see a grid. So kind of will give you a guide on where the dead center is. So right there. So right there, you can see the little grid that shows up there. And as I release, the grid disappears. So that will be our crop for this image. Okay, so I'll give you a few more seconds to do this, um, to follow the crop. And just for demo here, I'm gonna go back to this original crop. I'm gonna go ahead and click that rotate button as well. So again, it rotates. For some people, you might want to give it like a more of a landscape orientation. That's cool too, or that. So sometimes I play around with this and kind of like see what gives me, what's most pleasing to the eye aesthetically for me. I'm gonna stick with this one. Okay. All right. So moving on, let's hit. Okay, the auto adjust again. I'm gonna click auto adjust right there. So for this particular one, once you hit the auto adjust, you can see that it really gives you a dramatic, real dramatic change. I don't know if you saw that. I'm gonna hit it again, put it back where it was, like that, and then I'm gonna hit it again. See how it just right away it just increased the contrast, bumped up the color a little bit. Um, to be honest, for me, this is already a really good image, but I like editing, so we're gonna edit some more. Okay, so let's just slide the auto adjust slider here, see what happens. It's kind of like right there, to the right, to the left. For this one, I think we will settle right here. I'm gonna keep it right there. All right. So I just kind of push the slider a little bit to the left. Okay. So going to the next exposure. Let's check out what exposure does. Okay, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. For this one, we will settle a little bit more to the left, and it will be at negative 20, negative 21. Okay, so negative 19, negative 20, negative 21 is fine as well. Okay, so that's exposure. All right, next, brilliance. Okay, brilliance. Let's do it, see what happens. To the left, to the right. So for here, we will settle a little bit more. To the left, we will give it 61, 61, brilliance. Okay. Next, highlights. To the left, to the right. I think for highlights, we're going to move it to plus 10. Okay, highlights, we'll give it plus 10. Right? All right, moving on. Hope you're all following. Shadows. Okay, for this one, I love this slider. I love shadows because this again, this is what it gives it like a little bit more contrast and the 3D look to it. So I already know because I've been doing this a lot that I want to pull the slider more to the left to give it a little bit more shadow. Okay. So again, I pull it all the way to the right. Look what happens. It kind of washes it out. All the way to the left is too much shadow, right? Too much. So the sweet spot for me would be right here, minus 35. Okay, minus 35 is the sweet spot for me. Next, contrast. Let's play around with contrast. All the way to the right, kind of like that too. All the way to the left, that's a little plasticky. So for this one, I do like, for me, we're gonna stick with, I think, minus 46. Yeah, we're gonna keep it at minus 46. Okay, contrast. Brightness, play with brightness a little bit. So to the left, too dark. To the right, too washed out. So for me, brightness would be at -4. We'll keep it at -4. Okay? All right. Black point. We're not going to touch black point. We're going to skip that. Saturation. So, I look at this image now. I kind of like where it is at the moment, but I'm still going to play around a little bit, see what happens if I oversaturate it. No saturation, flat black and white. Oversaturated looks really bad. So I think for me, a good spot would be where -6. Okay? I've decided I'm gonna put this at -6. Okay, moving on. Vibrance. To the right, to the left. I think vibrance, I would put it at 73. 73. Okay? I'm gonna say it again. Editing is very subjective. It's really up to the artist or the photographer's taste. Okay, so 73. Warmth. Okay, let's play around with warmth. Too warm, too cold, right? All the way to the left, too cold. All the way to the right, too warm. So for this one, I think a sweet spot would be -13. I think we're gonna actually yeah, -20. I will put it at -20. All right, -20. Moving on. Tint. Let's see what happens with tint. Very magenta, very green, right? To, to the left, very green. To the right, very magenta. So for me, we'll give this a little bit more. Just too magenta. Put it right in the center here. I think I'll give it a little bit more of a green. For this one, I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a green tint. So I'm gonna keep it at -9. Yeah, -9. Keep my coffee. Okay. All right, moving on. We're gonna skip sharpness. We're gonna keep definition. We're gonna keep noise reduction, and we'll give it again. We'll give it a little bit of a vignette, right? And we're gonna keep it again. That's too much. We're gonna keep it at minus. No, keep it at 49. We'll keep it at 49. So I'm pretty happy with this final photo. It's very close to the one on the left, which is the previous edit that I did. So we're gonna stop here. I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm gonna go ahead and save. All right. Paul is just asking minus. Minus is to the left, so it's negative, right? Like on your slider grid. When I say minus, it's when you pull the slider to the left. Just like in algebra, right? Yeah. Negative is to the left and positive to the right. So when I say minus, what I mean is you pull the slider to the left. You give it like a negative, you give it a negative value. And then when you pull it to the right, you give it a positive value. Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on to the next image. We're gonna get as we get to each image, we're gonna go faster and faster. All right. All right. I'm gonna turn that off. Oops. Nope. Turn that off. So this is our next image. So if you can pull the third one that we did here, that is the third file that we're going to work on. And this is the final. Hang on. Oop, not that one. It's this one. That is our final. This is what we're going to recreate. Okay. Let's do this. So again, we'll start with crop. Just like in the previous image, I really wanted the viewer to like really focus on the patterns here. I don't know if you've noticed it yet, but every time I am really, when I post these photos, I'm very, very much fascinated by patterns. when I see patterns in plants and flowers, it just really, really sparks my curiosity. I love this one so much. Nature is just wonderful. So I'm gonna do right there. So again, what I'm doing here is I'm pinching and zooming and making sure that the center is in the center. For this one, I didn't make it like quite center because so I made it a little bit off center. But I'm gonna make another. And again, even if it's not exactly the same, when you're doing this, you can even experiment yourselves. But this is where we're gonna put it because we're trying to recreate this image here. Let me see, right there. I think we're good there. Move it up a little bit. Yeah. Okay. All right. So moving on, we're gonna play again. Auto. Click auto adjust. Brighten it up a little bit. And again, I'm just gonna maybe pull it to the left and see what happens. Pull it to the right, too washed out. So I think for this one, we're gonna keep the auto image right here, right there, almost to the left, almost all the way to the left, but not quite. Okay. John's saying, are we gonna be doing all the 25 photos? I'd love to, but I think it will take us a long time. So we're gonna do as much as we could, but for those of you who want me to do it, I'll do it. Probably take another hour, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it if you like. And for those of you who don't have much time to watch, you can, watch it later. But maybe I'll do it. Would you like? Again, my question, I guess, is, would you like me to do all the 25 photos? So let me know. Just type it in here. My question is, would you like me to do all the 25 photos? So just let me know. Okay. Um, all right, so exposure, I'm gonna go ahead and do exposure. I'm gonna leave it at -14. Brilliance, I'm gonna keep it at 23. Highlights, we'll put it at -16. Shadows, give it a little bit more of a shadow here. I'm gonna put it at um, 14. I'm gonna give 14. Okay. Contrast, we'll keep it at 18. I'm going fast here now, guys, okay? Brightness right there. I'll put it -30. And black point, I'm going to skip that. In fact, I'm going to go all the way. I already know that this is pretty much close to where I want it to be. I'm just going to give it a little bit more of a vignette, okay? So with vignette here, we're going to keep it at 42. 42. Okay, so people are saying they want me to do. We'll try to do the 25 photos. The good thing is, we can. It's gonna go faster. So not like right now. I'm almost done with the third one. Okay, so I'm gonna click done. And then when you practice later, you can just come back to this. You can come back to this recording, and then you can pause and see the step-by-step procedure I'm doing. Okay, now we're gonna go to the next image, which is this one. So the fourth one is the same. The difference is I actually did a little bit of a different crop. Okay, so here I'm just gonna try to demonstrate how certain photos, even though they look very similar when I took it, I like to give it a different kind of feel. I really like the juxtaposition of these two plants here. So I'm gonna start with the cropping here. Oop. Okay, crop, edit. Cannot load it. Oh no, why? Hang on a second. Cannot load the photo. Hang on a second. Having issues with my phone here. Okay, here. So, edit. So there you go. Um, just downloading the photo. I don't know why it's doing this, but I guess It downloaded the photos up in the cloud, and now I'm downloading it back in. It's uploaded it in the cloud, and I'm not downloaded it back on my phone. So just for the purpose of this training, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the 25 photos. For those who really want to practice more, we'll take advantage of this time that I'm here. And if you don't feel you don't need to watch the 25 photos, you can just do something else or watch a recording. And I'm gonna. Okay. All right. So okay. So let's start with cropping here. I'm gonna crop it. I'm gonna pinch and zoom, and I'm gonna give it this kind of crop. I love this crop so much right here. Okay. I'm gonna stop right there. Actually, right there. Okay. And then click again. Go to auto adjust. Click auto adjust. And then I'm gonna pull it to the left, to the right. I think I'm gonna keep it. Actually, I'm gonna keep it the way it is, so auto adjust. And then exposure, I'm gonna give it a little bit of darker exposure here, -30 for exposure. Actually, I'm gonna do -37 for exposure. Brilliance, for brilliance, we're gonna do 55 for brilliance. Okay. Highlights, we're gonna give it a +17. Shadows, we're gonna give it a little bit more shadow here, and we're gonna really pull this down all the way to the left, -82, because I really wanted to show the wood chips here, okay, and a little bit more the separation between the leaves. So we're gonna pull it all the way to -82. All right, contrast. I'm gonna leave that alone. Brightness. We're gonna put brightness at 17. Black point skip. Saturation, I'm gonna give it a little bit of saturation here, a little bit of a bump to +13. Vibrance, let's see what happens here. Vibrance, we'll put it at -62. Warmth, we'll give this a little bit more of a cooler feel to it, so -14. Tint, okay, we'll give it a little bit more of a green, more green tint to kind of enhance the color of this agave. So we'll put it at -27. And then we're going to skip sharpness, definition, noise reduction, and vignette. We're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a vignette right there. So I think that's the finished product. It's pretty close and pretty similar to what we have. Although, now that I look at the photo side by side, if you look at the yellow here, the yellow on the original one is much brighter than this one. So I think what we're going to do here is I'm going to remove the vignette. Okay, so we're going to remove the vignette. We're going to put it back to 0. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to brightness, actually. I'm going to go back to brightness and give it a little bit more brightness. There you go. I think that's it. Okay, so brightness, we're going to put it back to 46. So that's our finished photo. We're gonna hit done to save it, and then we're um, moving on to the next one, and it will be this. So if we can all pull out this photo. Turn that off. Oop. Okay. That one. Yeah? Okay. All right. Moving on. I'm gonna go hit edit. So I'm gonna go faster now, guys. Okay. Um, pinch and zoom. I'm gonna give it that crop. This one I really struggled when I was when I was doing it, I was like, I wanted to do it this way. It's kind of cool too. I almost like did this as well. It's kind of cool too. Or just give it like the whole thing, right? But I decided on this. So again, it's really up to you. But I like that. And then I did a little bit of rotation. There you go. And then pinch out a little bit more. There you go. So I kind of give it a little bit more space here. Make sure I don't want that because kind of cuts it off a little bit. So I put it a little bit this way. All right. Move it up a little bit more. Sometimes it takes me minutes to decide when I'm recomposing the image using crop. But it depends on sometimes you find it right away, sometimes it takes a long time. Okay. So again, let's hit auto adjust, see what happens. So for this particular one, it gave it like a really, really dramatic color pump, which for me is too much. So we're gonna see what happens here. I'm gonna make a little bit of adjustments. I'm moving it a little bit more to the right here. Let's see, right here, a bit more to the right. And then exposure, I'm gonna darken it a little bit more. Exposure, we're gonna put it at minus 44. Okay. Brilliance, let's see what happens. We'll keep it at 31. Highlights. Highlights. I think we're gonna keep this at minus 4, minus 5. Minus 4, minus 5, minus 6 is okay. Shadows. This one I might actually reduce the shadows a little bit because it's a little too dark. So I'm gonna give it a little bit more. I think right here, we'll do it at 58. 50, 58. Yeah, we'll keep it at 58. Okay. Contrast, give it a little bit, just a little bit of contrast here. We'll put it at 30, at 31. Okay. Brightness, we'll give it a little bit more brightness here. Actually, just like that. So we'll put it at +7 on brightness. Black point, we're gonna skip that. Saturation, it's a little too saturated for me, so I'm gonna give it a little bit less saturation here, and we're gonna keep it at -11 or maybe -8. It's actually -8. Vibrance. Let's see what happens if I. Okay, if I put it all the way to the left, the green behind in the background, you can see it gets too green for me. So all the way to the left gets rid of the green. So I'm gonna put it at maybe right there at +55. Okay, +55. And then warmth. Give it a little bit of warmth. No, actually, we're gonna put it at -24, -25. -25. Tint. Give it a little bit of a magenta. +21. Okay. Skip sharpness, skip that. I'll go all the way to vignette. This one I gave it a vignette. So here we go. So I am gonna decide that I want it at +66. So there we are, +66. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and save that and moving on to the next one. The next one will be this. Okay, and then turn that off. This one. So this is a real dramatic cropping that I did, and I really want you to practice on this one because I really like this one. If you can see the differences between the original image here on the right and the final one, it's really quite dramatic, right? So let's start with cropping. I'm gonna go ahead and hit crop. I zoom in. I zoomed in really close. I almost decided to do this because that's pretty cool too, right? This one took me, I think, about more than a minute to decide which one I like. So I like that as well. But then, in the end, I decided that I want to keep it straight, keep the line straight. So I rotated it this way, just like that, and pinch and zoom. That is my final crop that I really, really like. Yep. So that's where we're going to be at. This is where cropping will be. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and oops, it's saving the photo. Let me do that again. Edit. Okay, I'm gonna click auto adjust, see what happens. I love it. I love what it did. It's almost right now, in this particular one, when I saw this, like, oh, I really like this already. I don't really have to make any more adjustments. But actually, I did. So what I did was I went to contrast and just gave it a little bit more of a contrast, right? So here to all the way to the left, but what I did, give it a little bit more contrast. If you look at like this little tiny hair here, see what happens here? Like this is all the way to the left, right? If you watch all this like little tiny hair and the little water droplets. So I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a contrast to the left, and right there, I think it's a really good spot. So it's at plus 25, okay, plus 25. And then there's one more adjustment that I did here, which is, I believe it is the brilliance. Where's the brilliance? There it is, the brilliance. So we go to brilliance, make any adjustment all the way to the right, to the left. So I did it. So I don't know if you can, if you look at the bottom part of this image right here, see what happens, how it changes here. All the way to the left, all the way to the right, right? All the way to the left, all the way. Most of the change is happening at the lower left hand, the lower third of this image. So for this one, I'm gonna decide I'm gonna keep it to -10, I think. Okay, -10. And then one last thing I did was contrast. So I gave it a little bit more of a contrast, which is right there. Okay. I did not even give this one a vignette because I just think it's really good the way it is. But see if we do give a vignette, see what happens. See, I kind of don't like it. So I like it more. I like the edges here, like really, really exposed properly as well, so people can really see the details on it, right? So that's our finished product for this image, and we're gonna move on to the next one. Click done. I'm moving faster here now, guys. So, but if you watch the recording, you can pause and just kind of like follow along much faster. Okay, so moving on to the next image, which is this. Turn that off. I'm gonna move here. Okay, here we go. Click edit. And then I'm gonna hit auto adjust right there. I'm gonna slide a little bit more to the left, the auto adjust to, there you go. Get a little punch. So we're gonna keep it there. Exposure, I'm gonna darken this a little bit. So we're gonna go, exposure is minus, I decided it's -35. Okay. Brilliance, let's see what happens with brilliance here. Oh, that's to the left, that's to the right. So I want a little bit more. I think for brilliance, we're gonna do minus 12. Okay. Did I do crop here? I don't think. Okay, for this image, I don't think we did not even, I didn't do any cropping at all because the way, well, I did a little bit actually. If you look at the bottom here, it's a little bit different. So I'm gonna adjust the crop a little bit, just at the bottom, because I wanted to like clean it up a little bit. Because see this like negative space here at the bottom. So I wanted to like get rid of that. So it bothers me a little bit. So what I did is I cropped it this way, and then the top I actually kept it the same. So there you go. All right. So let's move on to the next one. I think let's go with highlights. Let's see what happens with highlights here. Oh, so this one I gave it a little bit more of a little bump. So I gave it a 61 to bring out more of the water spots. Huh? Shadows. I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a shadow. So we'll pull it to the left a little bit. And so as you can see, the more shadow I give it, the more you notice the water droplets, right? So this one, I'm really going to make it a little dramatic. So we're going to keep it at minus 61. Minus 61. So the shadow slider for this particular image really gave it a dramatic feel. You will notice that the water droplets became much more pronounced and more obvious. I love it. It's like 3D. Contrast. I'm going to give it a little bit more contrast here. There you go. Same thing here. Too much contrast. No contrast at all. I think we're going to put it right here at 37. Plus 37. Okay. Brightness. Let's see. Give it just a little bit more brightness here. Plus 19. Okay. And to be honest, when I'm looking at it now, when I was editing this, I'm like, okay, I'm very happy with this. This is how I want it to be. So I didn't even go to the other sliders because I already like it. Okay, so when you're editing and you see an image that like really strikes you, like, oh, I really like this, don't even do any more. My suggestion is just stop right there and keep it right there because you already like it, right? Um, but I'm gonna give it a little bit more vignette actually, just a little bit right there at 19. All right, so that's the finished product, very similar to the to our model photo there. I'm gonna hit done to save. All right, so we're gonna go to the next photo, which is this, and turn that off, and it will be this. Okay, so let's start with a crop. Start with a crop. What am I doing? There you go, crop. Okay, for this one, it's pretty. I did that, and then I actually did a rotation, right? Because this pointy leaf here, for me, it's better if it's like angled a little bit. So I'm gonna rotate it this way. I'm gonna rotate it that way. There. So we're gonna stop right there. So that is my final crop for this image. Okay, I'm gonna save. Done. And let's see, auto adjust, and then I pull it to the left. See how if I pull it all the way to the left, the blue is getting like really blue. So, but I think the sweet spot here is right there. Okay. Exposure, gonna give it a little bit more exposure, just a tad, just like that. So that will be +4. Brilliance, we'll keep it at 66. Yep. Highlights, I'm gonna reduce the highlight. Actually, I'm gonna keep it there at -38. Okay. I'm gonna jump all the way now to the vignette because and once again, when I'm looking at this image as I'm editing it, I already like it, but I want to kind of keep it. I want to focus the eyes of the viewer more to the blue flower. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip everything and go to vignette and give it and we'll put the vignette at +53. Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Um, the most dramatic change I did for this image is the rotation. When I cropped it and I rotated it so that that pointy leaf is angled more to the left and pointing to the corner. For me, visually, it's just more appealing than it was like pointing down, straight down. I wanted that pointy leaf to point to the corner. Somehow it just kind of like leads my eye from the corner all the way up to the flower. That's how I see it. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and save that, and we'll move on to the next slide, next image. So it's this one. This one's pretty dramatic too. All right. I love this flower. Okay, so again, this is one of those cases where I really made a dramatic change in the composition of the flower. I shot it straight up, but I like it sometimes when I recompose it to make the flower more diagonal, right? Like more slanted this way. So let's go ahead and hit edit. And I'm going to start with crop again. I'm going to rotate it, rotate to get that crop that I decided on. Took me a while for this image too when I was editing it. Took me a while to decide my final crop, but I decided this is what I want. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then we're going to go ahead and hit the auto adjust button here. See what happens? Boom. Okay. So it brightened it up a little bit. So I'm gonna slide it. It's too bright for me. I'm gonna slide it more to the left. So to give it that really dramatic, there you go. Nice. All right. Actually, a little too much. We're gonna keep it this way. All right. Okay. Now, exposure. Give it a little bit more exposure. We're gonna exposure at 8. Brilliance. Let's see what happens with brilliance here. Ooh, I like that. I kind of like that too. So, in this case, I kind of like it bright. I also kind of like it dark. So I decided I kind of like it dark. Okay. So we'll put brilliance at 35. 35. And then highlights. Let me see. I'm going to reduce the, let's see, like, again, all the way to the right, the highlights are too bright. And then all the way to the, I think the sweet spot would be actually here at 15. So I'll put the highlights at 15. Shadows. Give it a little bit of a shadow here, a shadow bump. So we'll keep it at minus 32. Contrast, let's see what happens with contrast. I'm going to keep it at minus 6. Brightness, minus 43 for brightness. Black point, we'll skip that. Saturation. So, again, um, currently the image is okay, but I think I'm gonna give it a little bit of less saturation here. So that way the blues are not too. If you look at the petal here, like this on the lower right hand corner, that's pretty much I think my guide for this one. I want it to be just the right amount of blue, which is right there. I'm gonna keep it right there at minus 8. So I desaturated it a little bit, yeah? Okay. Vibrance. Okay, I'm gonna put it at +5. Should I give it more warmth or should I give it more? I think I'm gonna give this a little bit more of a cool feel to it because it's blue. So we'll put it at minus 27. Minus 27. Tint, let's see. More green, more magenta. So, okay, so again, this is more green to the left, more magenta to the right. For this image, I think a little bit more magenta would really bring out the intensity of the blue here. Okay, so I'm gonna decide that I wanted to give it just a little bit of a magenta feel to it. So we're gonna put it at 21. We're gonna keep it at 21. Okay, sharpness we'll keep. Then we'll give it a little bit more vignette now. yeah, so there you go. It's a little different from my previous edit, but I'm pretty happy with it as well. I like it. I think it's really cool. So that's our finished product. Again, the biggest change here is again the creative cropping. So we really cropped it and rotated the image. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that. I don't know what number we are now, but I think let me see. Maybe we can go ahead and it's a lot more, but what I'm gonna do at this point, I'm gonna pick some images that I think would really give us a big bang for our editing. So we're gonna skip to this one right here. Yeah, we'll skip to this image right here, and I'm gonna pull that out. I think this one right here. So like here, again, the cropping is quite dramatic, and I really wanted to show this little miniature water dew, the dew that's on this beautiful grass flower. All right, so let's do that. I'm gonna hit edit, and then let's go ahead and crop again. So again, I'm gonna pinch out. I mean, not pinch and zoom, and then I will rotate it this way. It also took me a while to decide how I wanna crop this one. I decided that I wanted to do it this way, right there. And then I really debated whether, oh, should I show the bottom part right here? You know, like there's like a little space here, and I decided I'm gonna cut that out and give the image more of a square feel to it. So it's gonna be right here. Okay. Actually, I did it more this way. And rotate it like this. So again, this one's really tricky. You don't have to do it exactly the same, but as long as you get the idea and you get the water droplet stuff going on there. So I'm gonna keep it there. All right, and then I'm gonna hit again auto adjust. So the current is really bright. So to show the water droplets, I really feel like I really need to make it darker, right? So wait, so I'm pulling the auto adjust to the left right there, as you can see. The more I push it to the left, the more you see the water dew actually stands out a little bit more. So we're going to keep it really close to the left. And then for exposure, I'm going to play around with exposure. We're going to keep exposure to +9, I think, +7. Brilliance, let's play with brilliance here. Yeah, I think we're going to keep it to 59. Highlights, let's see what highlight does. Okay, we're going to keep it at -34. As you get for this image, when I'm editing it, I know, but for each image, I kind of like know where the focus is, and so every time I make adjustments, my guide for this one are the water droplets, right? So I'm constantly looking at the water droplets and how I can really make it stand out. So that is my guide for this image. So each photo that I edit, I have a guide. So I pick one spot. Okay, this is I really want them. I really want them to look at this and focus on this. For this one, it's the water droplets. Okay. All right. So moving on, shadows. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a shadow here. We'll give it at 39. We'll keep it at 39. And I'm already pretty close to where I want it to be, but I think it's a little bit too oversaturated. So I'm gonna reduce the saturation. I'm gonna go straight to saturation, and I'm gonna go pull that back a little bit, and then we're gonna put it to minus 7. Yeah, -7 I think would be a good. Okay, let's play with warmth here. Right now it's a little warm for me. So again, very warm, very cold, right? very warm, to the right, very cold. So for me, a good spot would be, because of the purple color of this image, I want to give it a little bit more cooler feel to it, to help the purple there, to assist. There you go, minus 39, minus 39. Okay. And then tint, let's see, more magenta, more green. So for this one, again, to help the purple, to bump up the purple a bit more, I think a magenta tint would be really good for it. So we're going to keep it at 28. Huh? And then again, we go straight up to vignette. Um, Give it a little bit of a vignette right here, and we're going to decide, we'll put it at 30. So this is our finished photo here. Now, if you want to be a rebel and you really want to like show the viewer more of the droplets, let's just do this just for it, just because we want to do it. Okay, we're gonna go pinch and zoom even more on the water droplets. Let's just see what happens. But I'm gonna go ahead and save that first, and then let's see what happens. This is one of those things when I'm editing, I really like play around with it and like see if I can get things even better. For this one, we're gonna play with the crop and let's see what happens, right? You can even do that. See, that's pretty cool too, right? Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. Look at those droplets. So cool, right? See, that's a really, really cool photo as well. In fact, I like that so much. I'm gonna decide that I will stick with it. Yeah, so it's a square. And then here's another trick. So, okay, now that we've zoomed in, how can I make those droplets even more, even sharper? This is when we go to the other slider. Let's play with the definition slider. Okay, let's just see what happens. Because what's gonna do is it's gonna take a look at the edges. This function is gonna look at the edges of the droplets, and it will give it a little bit more definition. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so right now we're all the way to the left, and if we give it all the way to the right, as you can see here, I don't know if you can notice this, but it's getting more and more defined, right? That's all the way to the left. I mean to the right. Again, I'm going to show the difference. All the way to the left. Notice the background and the water droplets all the way to the left. Okay, notice the change here. I'm gonna pull it all the way to the right. See how the contrast is, see that? It's giving it a little bit more. It's really separating the droplets from the background. Yeah, it's kind of magical. So for this one, I'm gonna decide, we're gonna like really push it to the limit here, maybe right there. Okay, so we'll put it at 78. We'll keep the definition to 78. And because for me, this is a little too contrasty, the lower corner here, the right corner. So I'm gonna go back to contrast and reduce it a little bit. And give it a little bit more to the left. See what happens here. There you go. See what's happening here? It was too dark and just gave it a little bit more of a, you can see the detail a bit more. So we're gonna keep it at minus 13. So there you go. That's our version 2. And the reason why I showed you this is to just kind of show you my process. And sometimes when I do one edit, okay, I'm happy with it. And then when I do another re-edit, I find something even more, oh, this is better. Not one's better than the other, but it's just how I feel at the moment. And I really like it. So there you go. All right. And also just to show you the process that I change my mind all the time as well. And again, it's the feeling and it's the emotion that you feel when you're editing these photos. Okay, let's see what else. Maybe a few more. Christine's asking, will you post all the edited photos? Yes, I will. I will actually share it on this event. Okay. I already did before, but I will do it again just for you. Okay. Okay. So let's move on to the next photo. Um, I wanted to show you the white. This one I wanted to show you how I treat the whites and how I edit whites. Because whites can be quite tricky. So this, no, not that one. I'm gonna skip that one. Ah, there you go. So the whites. This is our final photo, and this is the current, the ones that we're gonna edit. So let's go ahead and edit. I'm gonna show you a trick on how I treat whites when I edit whites without turning it into black and white, you know. If you wanna, if you, I'll show you something right now, okay? If you wanna change something that's white into like black and white, I'll show you a real quick trick right now. But we're gonna go back to this one. So here's an easy trick. Okay, so hit edit. On the iPhone, you will see this like little icon here at the very bottom, next to the crop button here to the left of the crop button. These are presets. Okay, I'm gonna go click on that. So presets are, they're kind of like formulas that Apple or Samsung or whoever decided, well, to save you some time, let's go ahead and I'll give you some generic kind of like rules. So sometimes actually works really well, especially if you're in a hurry. But the disadvantage, it kind of gives you the same thing, but sometimes it hits the spot. So let's, just for this purpose, let's go ahead and try that out. Okay, so you see like different. See, as you move the slider, it kind of gives you like a different taste, a different editing. These are like the filters, right? I hardly use it, but sometimes I do. I would say 20% of the time I use it when I'm in a hurry. But like this is kind of nice too, but for me it's too yellow. That's kind of nice too, but for me that's too orange. That's kind of nice too, but for me that's too blue, too bluish. That's kind of nice too, but a little plasticky for me. It's a little too dark for me. So again, sometimes when I play with these filters, I just kind of run through all of them, and then when I see something, sometimes it hits the spot, and I just stop there, right? Or this is when I really use it. You know how I use it 20% of the time is when I want to convert something in black and white, because for the most part, it does a pretty good job in converting things in black and white, right? For example, for this one, the last three filters here usually are black and white. So that's one, and that's one. All right. So sometimes you have to decide, okay, which one do I like? This one, or that one. For me, for my taste, I think the first black and white is this one. It's called mono. Okay, mono, silver tone, and noir. I like the mono. So let's for just for this, let's stick to the mono. So let's go ahead and pick mono, and I'm gonna go back to the editing tool here. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom and crop it. When I show the center of a rose, I like to pick a square. Usually, I love it. I love it when it's square rather than rectangular. So there are some presets here at the upper right hand corner. You can do presets. You click that, you will see at the bottom here. Freeform is like you can change any sides. Square, which kind of limits you to a square orientation. And then there are different other orientation ratios here if you want to stick there. That's more like panorama. But for this one, we'll hit the square so that no matter what you do, it will kind of like stay square, right? It's always 1-to-1 ratio. We're gonna keep it this way. I love that. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and click again the editing function here. And what I'd like to do with this image is, right now it's beautiful, but let's play with. I wanna punch up the contrast. Okay, so again, just knowing what we know now on how the sliders behave, I know that I want to play with shadows here. So let's go play with shadows. I'm gonna give it all the way to the left. This one we're gonna all the way to it's -100. Okay, and then contrast. give it a lot of contrast. We're gonna put it at right there, maybe at 66. Yeah, 66. And then I'm gonna go straight to vignette here. Right there. Give it a little bit of a vignette, right? But I don't know if you notice here when I look at it, this parts right here of the petals, it's a little too bright and overblown. I think it's overexposed. So let's play around with let's go to since we know that these are like the bright spots. So this is more has something to do with the highlights, right? So let's go to the highlight slider. Where is it? Highlight, 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 highlight. Oh, there it is. Highlight. So we're gonna try to reduce the highlights a little bit and see what happens. I'm gonna pull it to the left. There you go. See how it only affects the highlights. So I'm gonna, so that's too much, right? That's overblown highlights. But if I pull it to the left, oh, no, sorry. Okay, that's an overblown highlights. And if I slide it to the left, so I think I'm pretty happy with, we'll put it at minus 80. So it's a little bit more pleasing for me as far as I'm concerned, right? So, and then we're just gonna, and then for the last one here, I'm just gonna play with brilliance, see what happens. Left, right. So I think I'm gonna give it a little bit more right there. Minus 11. So we'll keep it at minus 11. So I'm pretty happy with it. In fact, I think it is better than, it's actually better than the previous edit that I did. It's more true to what black and white is. So I'm gonna keep it there. I like both of them, just different. So I'm gonna keep this one here. Okay. Again, remember for this exercise, for this particular photo, we use the filters here, right? I'm gonna go ahead and save that. And let's pick one more, maybe one more image here that oh, this one's quite popular. This one is quite popular. A lot of people like this one. So let's go ahead and work on this like baby fern, right? Okay, let me find the finished product here. Nope, nope. I like that one too, but nope, nope, nope. There you go. Okay, so I'll show you how I edited this thing. When I took this photo, in fact, I thought the photo, the way it is, the way I took it is already fine. I love it the way it is. So, but as I played around with it, I felt like, maybe I can like really refocus the viewer's eye on the curl, right? Like really get, they almost look like, like the edge of a violin or a cello. I loved it so much. So let's start and let's start with the crop here. It took me a while to decide what to show my viewer here, but I decided on this one that you see on the left. So let's just go ahead and right away try to emulate that. So I'm gonna go ahead and rotate until I get them straight up, straight up, right? Just like that. Okay, and I decided not to show the bottom part of the fern, so I decided to cut it off here, and I'm pinching in a little bit, rotate a little bit more, just doing adjustments here. So this takes practice, right? There you go, and then that is where I decided to keep it. Yeah. Okay, so let's make more adjustments. Auto, hit auto, brightened it up a little bit, and I'm gonna slide to the left. I kind of darkened it and really pushed it, I think, all the way there to almost to the left. Okay. Exposure, I think I reduced exposure even more. There you go, right here at minus 20. Let's see what happens with brilliance. With brilliance, I really reduced it, right there to 17. Highlights, I gave it a little bit more highlights at 37, I think. No, wait. No, I really gave it a, let me see, a bump, right? Right here, 26. Highlights 26. Shadows, I gave it a little bit more shadow here. I'm gonna pull it to 16, plus 16 on the shadows. Contrast, I gave it a little bit more contrast, I believe, right there at 46. Brightness, maybe a little bit more, just a tad right there. Okay. Black point, I'm not touching black point here. Saturation, I think I'm gonna give it just a little bump to 19. Vibrance, I'm gonna skip vibrance here. Warmth, let me see what happens here. Yeah, full. Okay, so for warmth, I gave it a little bit of a blue, a, a cooler feel because I really want to bring out the green in it, you know? So we're gonna keep warmth at minus 22. Um, and then this is really where the big change happens here on this particular image is on tint. If you notice the currently the image on the right, the one we're working on, is at the bottom. You see, you know, it's a nice green, but it's more of a yellowish. It has like this yellow kind of like appearance to it. But I wanted for this image, I had like this feeling. I just wanted green, you know, because of the fern, more like on the left. So here is where I really gave it a green tint. Okay, so I pulled it all the way to the left and really gave it a green tint. Right there. So let's keep it at, let's see, let's say at 50, minus 15, right? I'm gonna, and then because it's too bright, I'm gonna actually go back to saturation here, and I will reduce the saturation. It's a little bit too saturated for me and too plasticky, so I changed my mind. I'm gonna go ahead and reduce the saturation here, and let's keep it at minus 14. Okay, and then we're gonna go jump straight to vignette, give it a little bit of nice vignette. There you go, boom. So vignette at 26, and that's our final image for our fern flower. Okay. Um, Sandy D is asking how did I change the frame? So it's the again, it's the cropping. Okay, I will do it again just for you. Okay, I'm gonna hit done here. Um, but let me show you the original photo here. Okay, here's the original photo. If you pinch and zoom in and you rotate, so basically I'm moving this here. Basically, you just move it around. So you can see the original image right there, right? I'm going to release it. If you move it around, so I'm just basically rotating it until we find that they're all standing straight up. And I'm pinching in and pinching out. So again, it takes practice, 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 practice. That's how you get this technique down, is when you practice. So I'm going to stick right there. I'm going to keep it right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say that again. I think, let's see. All right, I'm going to click done. And then maybe one more, okay? And then I'm going to open it up. We're now going into 2 hours. So I'm going to maybe just one more, and then I'm going to open it up for a quick Q&A. Let me see what's dramatic here. This one, actually, this one, I like this one. So again, I'm gonna go very quickly here, but I wanted to show you my thought process on how I cropped it and why I decided to do it this way. Oh no, this actually this one. This is the original image, and that is the final image, right? So final image to the left, original image to the right. I'm just going to show you what my thought process is with creative cropping here. So when I did this, there's so many different options for this photo because you know I was really happy with the way it was shot. You could either do. I'll show you like three different crops, but why and why I decided to do this. So it's downloading right now. Um, downloading. Okay, almost there. Almost there. Almost there. Let me see. Any questions? No, I got that when you made it square. Oh, when I made it square, I'll show you right now. Okay. Um, Sandy's asking how I made it square. Okay, it's taking a while. I don't know why. We have a little bit of a technical. I'm gonna redo that. Edit. Come on, download. I don't know why it does this. Hmm. It's kind of getting stuck there. It won't let me edit it unless it's all completely downloaded on my phone. Um, and I don't know why this one's having an issue. But let me go ahead and show you another one here, just to show you, because Sandy is asking how did I do the preset crops? So it's actually right here. I'm gonna turn this off. So to preset crop, what you do is you click on here on the crop right here at the bottom, and then at the upper right hand corner you will see all these pre-crop presets on the crops, right? So you click on it, and then you will see at the bottom here you can have freeform, you have square, you have 9 by 18, more panorama, you get 6 by 10, and so on and so forth. Okay. I like that crop actually, the panorama crop. It's really cool. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, I like that. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop there because we've pretty much covered a lot of advanced editing because we're now going 2 hours, and it's pretty cool because a lot of you are still online, so you're still watching. You're not bored yet. Okay, so at this point, Um, the last, if you have any questions, you can type them now, and maybe we'll take at least 10 minutes so I can answer more questions. Um, so let me see here. When's the next class? Next class will be next week. I don't know exactly which day yet, but it's gonna be, it's gonna be weekday, not weekend. I will make an announcement. Um, what else? Automate square. Okay, how did you change the framing? Okay, thank you. Sandy got it. Perfect. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna go back, see if there's any questions here. Um, will you post the edited photos? Christine is asking. Yes, I will. So I will, all these ones that we edited right now, I'm gonna repost it, okay? For your guide. So I'm gonna wait 30 more seconds here because we have a 30-second delay. So let's see if you have any questions. I have a Samsung S9, but it has not so much tools for editing. Is there an app that I can use instead? Okay, usually phones come with a native editing tool. You just have to find it. However, if you really can't find it, and we will cover this in future classes, but since you're asking, I'm going to tell you now. The main editing photo advanced editing app that I use is called Snapseed. Okay, it's a Snapseed. It's an app. It's owned by Google, so it's Snapseed. Snapseed. So I think either in 2 weeks we will have a class on how to use Snapseed. Snapseed has even more advanced editing tools. This is when we're getting close to pro editing here. But if you want to go ahead and start experimenting on that. But it can be quite intimidating because there's a lot of functions. Like when you open it up and you hit edit, there's just so much. But if you want to play and experiment, you might like it. Okay, but I'm just taking it a little slow. I'm trying to make sure that you're not getting overwhelmed because editing can be overwhelming, but it can be fun as well. Okay. So again, it's Snapseed. SNAPSEED. Okay. I don't have Amina. I don't have brilliance and definition. What else could it correspond to? Whites correspond to. You say I have whites. Whites correspond to no to highlights. Brilliance and definition. If you don't have it, the closest you have to like really get the same effect is really a combination of contrast and brightness. You know, so it's contrast and brightness. Play with that, and then you can you might get close to the same effect. Okay. Okay, so I think that's about it. There are no other questions. Okay, so thank you for tuning in, and I hope you learned something today. And I just want to kind of circle back um, uh, to my point from the very beginning on advanced editing, the three secrets: practice, practice, practice. Even myself at this point in my photography level, I still practice. If I want to learn something new, a new technique, the only like really way to do it is practice, practice, practice. You can read all the books that you like over and over again, but if you don't practice, you're not going to learn. For me, photography is very visual. So if I always try to relate the behavior of the photo, how it changes when I'm making changes on these adjustments. Okay. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. I will make an announcement next week on where it's going to be, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and keep on staying safe. Each day that passes, we're closer to reopening our world again, and we can all go back to what we're doing. But it's so cool that the crisis brought us back to where we are now. That I'm able to share this with you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you all next week. Bye bye. Signing off.